morning. I've heard a lot of parents saying recently that they really want to talk to their teenagers about what's going on in their lives. They really want to hear how the teenager is feeling, know what the teenager's thinking, but their son or daughter just won't open up, and conversations are just turn into grunts, or end up resulting in arguments all the time. And parents are feeling frustrated because they just want to know what's going on inside, want to know what they're feeling, what they're thinking, so that they can help. So I wanted to make this video to share what I've learned about wanting to get somebody to open up to me. So last year my mum was getting dementia. She hadn't been diagnosed yet, but we could tell that something was wrong. Oh, my cat's just joined us. Here she is. And yeah, my mum was getting dementia. I was feeling really sad, distraught about it. But my dad wasn't really telling me how he was feeling, and I was desperate to know. I was feeling very frustrated because I wanted to know how he was feeling so that I could help him, or just so that I could empathise with him and understand how he was feeling. But whenever I asked him about it, he would always just sort of say, you know, it is what it is, and sort of shrug it off. So I was feeling very frustrated. Anyway, then completely unrelated to that, I was also going through a lot of stress at work, overwhelming stress, and on top of that my mum was getting dementia, and I just wasn't coping very well, and I was taking a lot of time off work, like days at a time, spending days in bed and watching a lot of YouTube as a coping mechanism. Not a very healthy coping mechanism, but nonetheless, so I'd been telling everybody about it because I find that when I'm going through something like that, talking helps. But the only people that I hadn't told were my parents. And I was kidding myself, telling myself that, you know, they just don't need to know, they don't live in the same city as me, so they don't know I've been taking time off work, and they would just worry, and I don't want them to worry unnecessarily about me. But at the same time, my not telling them was creating a bit of a barrier between me and them. So every time I saw them, I knew I wasn't telling them. It had become such a big part of my life that I could feel, it was almost like I was lying by not saying what was going on. And yeah, for me it was becoming a bit of an elephant in the room every time I saw them, and I didn't like the feeling, and so it was making me not want to speak to them and not wanting to visit them because I didn't want to feel like that. But at the same time, I wanted to see them more because my mum getting dementia, I wanted to be there to support and help. So it was kind of getting in the way. So I decided it would be better if I told my dad what was going on. But when I thought about telling him, I felt afraid to tell him because in the past I'd heard him and my mum talk about people who were suffering with mental health issues and spending lots of time in bed like I was. I'd heard them say things like, oh, why don't they just help themselves, you know, why don't they just get out of bed? That's clearly not helping, and things like that. They just didn't show much empathy or understanding for people as far as I could see. So I was afraid that they would react that way about me as well, and ultimately I was afraid that they would reject me, that they wouldn't love me if they knew that I'd been spending so much time in bed watching YouTube. But I decided I was going to do it anyway, and I didn't care how they reacted. So I phoned my dad, and first of all we started talking about something else, and I nearly chickened out, but then I didn't. I said, anyway, the reason I phoned, and I told him not only that I'd been spending a lot of time in bed, taking time off work, suffering with stress, but I also told him that I had been afraid to tell him because I was afraid that he would judge me and wouldn't love me anymore. And he made a little noise like, oh, which told me that wasn't the case, that of course he loves me no matter what. So that was a real relief. But then, to my surprise, he also then told me that he thought he used to suffer from stress a lot when he was at work. And he thought that he used to get these ear infections every year at the same time of year, and thought that was caused by stress. Because it was always the time of year when the industry he worked in was the busiest. So this was news to me. I'd never heard my dad talk about himself suffering with stress before. So we sort of bonded over that. We had this shared experience. Then he told me something amusing that my mum had done, because people with dementia quite often do amusing things. And we had a little laugh, and then I just asked him again, how does it feel living with somebody who does things like that? And he finally told me how he was feeling, and he said he was feeling sad and frustrated. And, well, I couldn't believe it. That hadn't been my intention. I wasn't opening up to him so that he would open up to me. I was just opening up to him because I could feel that it was getting me down, that it was weighing me down, this secret that I seemed to be holding on to whenever I saw them. So I opened up to them just because I find it helps being honest. It makes me feel better. And this unintended, unexpected consequence was that my dad then opened up to me, not only about his own experiences with stress, but also about how he was feeling about my mum. And I never could have predicted that. So what I learned from that is, if I want other people to be open and honest with me, I need to really look at myself and be really open and honest with them. But not in a manipulative way, not in a like, right, I'm going to tell you this thing about me, now you tell me your thing. In a much more loving, I just want to be honest with you, I just want to be open with you, I want you to be able to know me and understand me. And then it kind of opens a door and invites the other person to do the same. And it doesn't always happen straight away like it did with my dad. I think especially with teenagers, they're at a stage in life where they're very guarded. That's why teenagers come across so cool. Because cool is actually just a barrier that we put up. Say like, I'm not going to let anybody get to know me, I'm going to put this armour-plated coolness on me so that everyone will think everything's cool, I'm fine, and no one will actually know what's going on inside of me. They do that with their friends and peers, and then with adults they tend to just shut down entirely, just grunt. And it's from fear. It's from fear of, if you knew what was going on inside me, you might not love me anymore. And yeah, so it can take time to break down that armour with teenagers, but I hope that helps parents out there who are feeling frustrated. And it's not easy either. You have to be vulnerable yourself, and that's scary. I was terrified phoning my dad to tell him that. I thought he was going to tell me that I was ridiculous. But then I did it and I got this amazing reward. We're now closer than ever. I'm not afraid to tell my dad anything anymore. And our relationship has just gone to a place that I never could have imagined. I never thought that we'd be able to talk as openly as we do. And so that's the power of vulnerability. And that reminds me of a really good TED talk by Brene Brown called The Power of Vulnerability. I'm going to post a link to that in the description below. Bye.